it just seems like if we're having this conversation about Ime Udoka being hired by Brooklyn, where he was an assistant coach, accountability is the word.
He already had accountability.
Where is the accountability?
What are you talking about? Because Ime Udoka had consensual relations with someone in his organization and that broke the rules, he should never work again.
Right.
Is that your argument?
Basically. Absolved of any punishment.
Like we can't even know who they are. They're being hidden like they're victims. They're not victims.
Right.
They're perpetrators, just like Ime Udoka.
The whole thing is they don't want them being publicly shown because they don't want to shame them. Why? Because they're women? Are you kidding me?
But you'll shame him.
Are you kidding me?
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
They did wrong too. They need to be shamed too.
It just continues the women's victimhood mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That you can just, no matter what the scenario, no matter what the facts are.
A woman is never
wrong.
in the wrong.
You can make yourself into a victim no matter what the situation, and all you have to do is point your finger at the nearest man and you will be absolved of liability.
Again, the new crucible. The new Salem witch trials.
New Salem witch trials, right. Hey, yo, what's poppin', y'all? I'm Ace.
Hi, and I'm Star. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Alright, bet. Let's get to it. Alright, so boom. We here with Malika Andrews and Pink Book. Malika Andrews talking crazy. I knew it. I knew she would. Because Ime Udoka is now... I don't know when this video may come out, so by the time it comes out, maybe he's already the head coach of the Nets. But Steve Nash got fired, so they're looking to try and replace the Nets coach with currently suspended Celtics head coach Ime Udoka. He was suspended for sexual misconduct with an employee. Consensual misconduct. So basically they broke the rule that says that you're not allowed to fraternize with other employees. Now, from my understanding is that he fraternized with multiple different employees, but
all consenting, and some of them were not even under his purview. Like one of them was like the wife of an executive or something like that. So he doesn't control what she does. Like he doesn't control people in the corporate office and what they do, right? So there's no power dynamic there. So I don't want to hear that shit. So I'm sure Malik and another thing, no one in the Celtics organization was punished except him, which makes no sense. Because the rules apply to everyone.
The rules apply to everyone equally.
Employees
You're not allowed to sleep with him.
Employees are not alled to fraternize with each other. That
each other.
All employees,
each other.
Male and female,
each
alike.
Other, both sides. So I still can't figure out how he's punished and they're not. Even if there's a power dynamic, that doesn't matter. You're an adult. You're not allowed to do that. It's in the handbook. It's not that complicated.
Rules are rules.
Yesterday, I think Steve Nash mutually parting ways with the Nets as head coach after starting the season 2-5. It's a crazy time for this move to come because don't forget, in the offseason, Kevin Durant reportedly requested a trade from Brooklyn.
Usually, it's not how it happened.
I don't know that.
You know good.
I don't know that for sure.
Are held accountable at all. The head coach organization releasing news that their head coach Steve Nash was fired. Lots of rumbling going around that Ime Udoka may be hired to replace Steve Nash. Ime Udoka, the head coach of the Boston Celtics, that was suspended for having consensual relations with a woman within the organization.
Consensual.
And by the way, that woman was never named or held accountable for also violating the organization's rules.
Because apparently, women are immune from accountability.
Yep.
Like, how is this not one-to-one logic? Literally, he did something, she did something. How is he punished and she's not punished? What like, are you
She is seen as an employee too. Therefore,
Malika Andrews is about to say some crazy shit like she's using toddler logic. It's like, the only way you could think they shouldn't be punished is if they're not responsible for their own behavior.
you feel like they're not in the wrong.
Right.
How?
The only way they couldn't be is if they're not responsible for their own behavior. Except for they're adult women. They're not children.
The fact that they consented
If you remember,
is the fact that they did it. They were agreeing
women like Malika
to do it.
Andrews said that women should be protected. Their names shouldn't be put out
Why?
for also breaking the code. Andrews wanted Ime Udoka to be held accountable, but didn't want the women to be held accountable. If you missed those videos, the links will be below. And at the time, Stephen A. said that Boston should either fire Udoka and let him move on to another team, or keep him. Now that it looks like Udoka is heading over to Brooklyn, Malika Andrews isn't happy with the news, and she's still saying that he should be held accountable after accountable.
Right, so he didn't. She's acting like he touched someone against their will, bro. Literally, he did some slap on the wrist shit that he shouldn't have even been fired for. We should have never found out about this. And, okay, so basically he's gone. And now, you're saying he's also not allowed to work again. So basically, because Ime Udoka had consensual relations with someone in his organization, and that broke the rules, he should never work again.
Right.
Is that your argument?
Basically.
Nonsense.
Take a look.
Well, there's a word that Janae used that's just rattling around in my brain, accountability. I'm not sure how that gets grasped back for Brooklyn. Because it's not lost on me that Ime Udoka has done incredible things with the Boston Celtics. But it just seems like if we're having this conversation about Ime Udoka being hired by Brooklyn, where he was an assistant coach, accountability is the word.
He already had accountability.
Where is the accountability?
What are you talking about?
Zach, what do you make of this? Look, at the end of the day,
Oh my God.
very few people, I believe, are beyond redemption. And
Ugh.
I'm not saying that that's the scenario here. But what I am saying is I sincerely hope that when we talk about due diligence and vetting, the Brooklyn Nets are taking into account multiple voices on this and who could be affected, because we know that this is going to be ongoing.
And I want to know this. Malika is the only
maniac.
one still bringing up the Udoka situation. She's like, he needs to be held accountable, and she's reintroducing accountability over and over as if he wasn't held accountable. She's
Did he
acting
do
like
you
broke
wrong?
the
Who
law.
hurt you? Who hurt you? Why did he do something to you?
Right, like what is
Like,
her
what the fuck?
problem?
What the fuck?
Like, what do you like? What is this? Like radical feminism gone awry? Like, bro, have you lost your fucking mind? Like, you're not even adhering to real life logic.
No, not at all.
You're just saying
She just completely blindsided how pissed off she is that he did something like this.
it's called misandry. That's what this is.
Yeah, literally.
Because you're saying he should be punished, the women should not be punished because they're women.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking nonsense.
Listen, Malika, he had consensual relations with a woman. Both of them broke the rules, but only one of them fined. Only one of them had their pay impacted. Only one was suspended from their job. Only one was publicly humiliated, not just within the industry, but on national television, all on social media in front of the whole world. Only one of them. The other party or parties never had to go through that.
Yet he did. Yet he's not accountable.
They're absolved of everything.
Udoka was held accountable, but there's been zero accountability placed on the woman.
Yeah, she was married too.
Wanting him to lose everything for having consensual relations, and you really
Right.
have to watch these feminists and
Like,
misanders
what-
out here.
what is
These
that?
women who really hate men. They hate men so much that they want to destroy men. They will come up with false Me Too stories, or they'll try to change the standards around in order to
Right.
make a Me Too situation
This is
fit
goofy.
in instances where they do not. No
Right.
law was broken, but she's trying to bend and extend the situation based
Right, that's what she's. I mean, I saw that from the very beginning. That's what she's doing. She's trying to turn this into a Me Too type situation. Yet the word consensual was in big letters, so it's like it doesn't matter what you try to twist. They're still responsible because nothing was done against anyone's will. Everyone consented.
Everybody knew what the policy was when they started this job.
Right.
So therefore, they broke that policy too, and they consented to having sex with somebody who's an employee there. So
Right.
they need to be terminated or dealt with or suspended or whatever the
Something.
case may be. Equally. Equally.
But if you want to say that, oh, he had a power dynamic, or he was more powerful, or he's in a position of authority, so he should know better, so his punishment should be worse, I could get with that. But worse. Not no punishment for the people at all.
Absolved of any punishment.
Like, we can't even know who they are. They're being hidden like they're victims. They're not victims.
Right.
They're perpetrators, just like Ime Udoka.
The whole thing is they don't want them being publicly shown because they don't want to shame them. Why? Because they're women? Are you kidding me?
But you'll shame him.
Are you kidding me?
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
They did wrong too. They need to be shamed too.
None of this shit makes sense, bro.
exaggerating and talking about it as if it's more serious than what it really is. You know, trying to persuade people to believe that something happened, so fire him, cancel him, and cancel him forever.
Right.
This is what man-hating women do. And Malika saying something about being held accountable to women in the NBA, it makes no sense. Women are not players. Women are not coaches. That's what the WNBA is designed for. But I'm assuming that
Right.
Malika is talking about the other personnel on the administrative side. All the Udoka situation proved is that women are liabilities everywhere you put them. Go to any job, anywhere, where there's a bunch of women working, and you're going to find drama and catty foolishness. And ladies, you know what I'm talking about is true. You have experienced some level of what I'm talking about at work.
Cannot stand
I'm
that
telling
shit.
you, it's always a problem. It's always some kind of mess going on. So Malika made her statement and her co-host weighed in as well. Take a look.
Yeah, and I think there are rightful qualms when you hear about this, and particularly as women in the NBA, we understand
Why?
what that narrative became.
I just don't understand why they keep saying this.
What are you talking about? What narrative? What fucking narrative? There's only the facts. He slept with someone. He was punished. The person he slept with was not punished. What punished? What fucking narrative are you talking about, you goddamn maniacs?
NBA,
Oh my
women
god.
are in the WNBA. Just stop saying that.
But I also understand that this day and age, organizations have to do their due diligence. And once they do their due diligence, they make a decision. And if the decision is based on basketball pertaining, Ime Udoka, it makes sense because of what he brings. The mindset of what he was able to do. I know a year ago we were talking about how Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum couldn't get on the same page. There was a power struggle with the Celtics.
But see, that's the point. It's like the logic could never be that he had consensual relationship with employees so that he can't get hired in another job. Like they'll just say, "Yo, don't do that. Don't do that here." Like it's not like it was criminal where it's just like, "Well, we can't have you here." You know what I mean? It's like, just don't do that here. It's not that complicated.
Because it causes complications.
Right? Like what?
Well, guess what? He reached out to both of those guys and got them on the same page, and you have to credit Marcus Smart having that team camaraderie. Then you also think about the idea of the defense. I mean, he completely resuscitated the Celtics.
Yeah, because he's a
defense,
good coach.
Catapulted them to the NBA Finals, and so I'm
He's a
someone
good
that
coach.
trusts and
That's
believes
it.
that, especially when Adam Silver came, was it last week? Because I never remember time. Last week and said, hey, we've instituted tip lines or situations where we're trying to create a safe environment, not just for one team, but all teams. I feel like the Nets, like you said, they made the decision to vet him probably longer before this, and they're going to make a decision based on the legalities of what they deem acceptable.
The legalities.
And if they so choose Ime Udoka, it seems like he is the right person.
The legalities.
Not to mention, before he became Boston's head coach in 2021, he was the assistant coach in Brooklyn.
Right. So they already know him. They already vetted him. So really the only information they need is about this other touch him situation, which up to now it's still consensual. No one's going to jail. No one's complaining or saying anything about that, right? Because it's all consensual, and there's evidence of that, text messages, all that. So it's over with. It's over with. Malika Andrews,
So
quit it.
that was looking like he's going back to Brooklyn, but this
Say
time
less.
as head coach.
Facts.
Well, you're asking the wrong person that question because I was a person that never believed that Steve Nash deserved the job to begin with. An incredibly nice guy, an incredibly accomplished basketball player.
I
He
mean,
played.
yeah, Steve Nash has 2 MVPs. One of whom I believe belongs to Kobe Bryant, and one who I believe belongs to Shaquille O'Neal, because he shouldn't have won either of those years, but that's neither here nor there, right?
But he doesn't think he's a good coach. Interesting.
He's not a good coach. He was a good player, but he's not a good coach. Sometimes it be like that. But, yeah, man. Like, it just continues the women's victimhood mindset. That you can just, no matter what the scenario, no matter what the facts
A
are,
woman is
never wrong.
in the wrong.
You can make yourself into a victim no matter what the situation, and all you have to do is point your finger at the nearest man, and you will be absolved of liability.
Again, the new crucible. The new Salem witch trials.
New Salem witch trials, right?
The new Salem witch trials. This is all it is, because it's just like women can do no wrong, and as soon as they are told that, listen, you did this, you did wrong here, they're pointing the finger and putting you in handcuffs and tying you and getting ready to burn you at the stake.
Like what Ime Udoka did in the
It's like
grand scheme of
crazy.
things is the most minor thing ever. Something that people do at jobs all over the country, including in the NBA, every single day. Fraternize with employees, co-workers, when they're not supposed to do that. Like, not every organization has that rule, but many do, and people do it anyway. And after you get caught, no one says we should lock you up and you should never work again. That's crazy.
And not for nothing, why did this have to blow up to the way it did?
Like I said, this should have been an internal matter.
He ain't do nothing to me.
Right.
He ain't do nothing
And
to me.
and it doesn't impact him doing his job.
Thank you.
It should have been
Thank
an
you.
internal matter.
Right. Like,
Just like
why are we so up in arms about?
Because he violated an internal policy. The same way, if he parked in the wrong fucking parking spot, we shouldn't be hearing about that on ESPN. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. Like, we shouldn't have heard about it to begin with. But if we're gonna hear about it, we're the women who were perpetrators.
Where's the equal? Right. Where's the equal?
Equality? They don't want equality.
Where's
know
the
that.
equal punishment for the people who did it? Like, come on.
They don't want equality. You know that. Stop. That's crazy, man. Anyway, that's it for this one. We'll holla at you.